People in medicine that are dating each other, it's so difficult because there's all these stages, college, then med school, then you match in residency, then you have to find a job. And you're almost forced to have these hard conversations with your partner that you're not really ready to make yet or to have yet.
Yeah, but we should have been ready. We were like 31.
Well, I'm glad that you see that now. Well, I was the one pushing for those conversations.
Yeah, you were.
So we were trying to figure out what the next step was together. So we had an 18-month-old and a 3-month-old, and things really came to a head at work for me.
Yeah. I would make dinner or play with the kids or whatever after work, and sometimes I was on call, so it was a lot. But I mean, I wouldn't trade it. You were bearing the brunt of that because you're still the mom and you still have all the mom responsibilities.
I want to talk a little bit about how we keep our relationship going in a healthy way.
Okay.
So let's talk about therapy. Well, today's guest is my husband, Dr. Jaspaul Gogia. He rarely ever comes on social media with me. He really doesn't like it. He'll every once in a while be on there, but I thought it would be great to have him as a guest on the podcast so we could talk all the things: relationship, kids, being orthopedic surgeons. He's a spine surgeon. I'm an orthopedic surgeon generalist. And we'll just see where this takes us. But I am so excited to have you today because we've never talked together online ever, right?
No, never. I think maybe AIM in
Oh, yeah,
2001.
AIM. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So tell our listeners how we met. How long ago was it?
We met in college. I was a sophomore. And you were kind of a vulnerable freshman. And and we met through my cousin, who's your best friend. I think I kind of, played the right game and had all the right moves at that time.
Yeah, right.
I've really since lost those. But, we were friends first and had some of the same classes, et cetera. And we were at USC, which was a blast in LA. And you would go home for the weekend, and my cousin lived very close to where your parents were. So sometimes we'd share rides home and things like that on the weekends. And blossomed from there. It was a little bit of a rocky road from there to here.
Yeah. I think now might be the time to say that we've had a very on and off relationship. I mean, now we're obviously on. But at the time when we met, I think we both had some maturing to do. And it was very cute, though. We would just hang out on campus at the cafeteria. We had the same group of friends, so we would go out together. But it was more friendly than anything. And I don't think either of us, especially you, were ready to be in a full-blown relationship.
Yeah.
But I think the friendship part of it is what kind of gave us our foundation. So Jaspaul went away for medical school, and I was still at USC for college. And then we continued this on and off thing for a while. Tell me about your journey in medical school. How did you decide you wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon?
Oh, that one's tough. I loved med school, so I went to San Francisco, and you were still in LA, and I had a blast in med school. I think it was kind of best 4 years of education and fun and life that I had. Made some really close friends there that I still have. And then in med school, you do the first couple of years, which was great and did really well there. Really great teachers and courses, and this format was new at that time. There was this problem-based learning situation that was kind of different than just lectures and all that, and UCSF was kind of pioneering that that was 20 some years ago. And then you get into the third year and you do all the major rotations, and I kind of I was actually torn between doing medicine because I really liked the cerebral parts of internal medicine, and then doing surgery because I liked working with my hands, and basically, and then when you make that decision, then you do all the rotations for the different surgery groups, and the orthopedic surgeons kind of were the most fun and inviting, and you got to play with tools and have fun, and you could see just the instantaneous effects of your work. So you got a picture at the end of your case, which was like your little report card of whether you did a good job or not. And that was satisfying. And so, yeah, and I liked it, I think, from the get-go in terms of doing that. And then I think that was the way I chose ortho. It wasn't I think you'd be happy in any field you choose, really, at that point.
Well, I think that's a great point, because a lot of people just rest their kind of laurels on one field and they feel so heartbroken if they can't get into that field or it's not working out for them. And I personally also think there's a lot of fields you can be happy in medicine.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think you don't know much when you're a second year or a third year med student at all. And most people don't. Maybe some people come in with a background that they've had, a job as a first responder or something like that, where they know a little bit more about the realities of day-to-day life in medicine. But I think in general, there's so much to learn in any field. Whether I was considering urology for a little bit.
Urology is a great one.
Yeah,
because there's such a mix of procedures and big cases and small cases, and you're still seeing patients in the office.
Yeah, I think anybody could be happy doing anything. It's just what kind of sparks your interest at the time. And the biggest thing for me is just who your mentors are or were at that time.
Yeah, that definitely makes an effect. I mean, even just the residents that you're working with when you're a medical student, they can absolutely influence or shape where you end up. I also chose orthopedics around the same time Jaspaul did, but I did not copy him.
It's up for debate.
I definitely did not. I liked it probably for other reasons. I did like this mix of working with my hands and seeing patients in the office. But what I really liked about it is your patients are generally healthy. And I had a hard time with really sick patients in the hospital. I even had trouble in OBGYN. I would start sobbing when a baby was delivered. A healthy baby, just because the family would be sobbing, and I'm super emotional, and I just didn't think I was going to be able to compartmentalize things. And so I liked ortho for that reason, because generally your patients want to get healthy and they are just trying to get back to their active lifestyle. Now, you chose spine surgery, which is a 1-year fellowship after orthopedic surgery. Tell us about that decision, because that comes with a lot more, I guess, stress. How would you describe it? Because it is different than the other ortho fields.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's super healthy. That's one, and it is. I think it's harder to have good outcomes for the vast majority of your patients, in the sense that spine, there's a lot of other things going on than just arthritis in the knee or whatever that you can chop out and replace. So it's that's what makes it rewarding, because when you have really good outcomes, it's taken a lot to get to that point. And it's the surgery itself is pretty difficult. I would say, given the sensitivity of the nerves you're near, or even blood vessels if we're doing surgery from the front of the spine. And so, but for me, I would say it was kind of the intellectual nature of spine surgery that I thought I found that more intellectual than some other parts of orthopedic surgery. And then also the challenge of the surgery. And then the same thing we just talked about is the mentors. So I had really good mentors at my residency program who were fun and excited about their job, even though they've been doing it for a while. And that's really what led me to it. It's also, I don't know, we talk about, when you go into medicine, you kind of, in elementary school and high school, you do the hard thing, right? You take the hard science class, or you take the harder math class, or the honors track, or whatever. And in my mind, when I was doing orthopedic surgery, I just said, "Oh, spine's pretty hard." I'm just gonna kind of be gravitating towards the harder thing, it was great, and I don't regret it at all. But it is a little more stressful, than a general orthopedic surgeon or sports or whatever might be doing knee scopes or carpal tunnels surgeries or whatever, which are not in and of themselves without risk or complication, but it might be a little bit easier than the average spine surgery in terms of those two things, risks and complications.
No, I absolutely agree with that, as someone who does those knee scopes and carpal tunnel surgery. And they're just as important to someone's life, but definitely as the surgeon, there is a little less stress. So I'm going to fast forward through residency and fellowship, Jaspaul and I were living in different areas. He was doing his residency at UC Davis. I was at Columbia in New York. We kept in touch a little bit, but we still had a lot of growing up to do. So we definitely were not together at that time. And
we're getting back to the personal side now.
Yeah, we're gonna fluctuate between both things.
Right.
And so then you came out and did your fellowship because of me in New York, right?
Yeah. Oh, because of you?
Yeah. Yes.
There's an excellent spine program in New York.
A little place called HSS.
Yeah.
Where you did your spine fellowship. But I'm sure that I played a role in that decision to move across the country, right?
Yes. Answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so this was my 5th year of residency. I'm finishing up. You're starting your fellowship, and we're looking for jobs. And tell me about that process and looking for a job. You don't have to give any specific places.
Yeah. So stressful. I mean, it's just the hardest. Luckily, I've only had one job after fellowship, but I found that process to be kind of hard because you feel like, you have trained now. At this point, I'm 30-ish, 31, and you've trained just forever, and you've been doing this, the grind for 5 or 6 years in residency and 4 years before that in med school, which is all a grind, and you're seeing your kind of buddies, do their jobs, but they have 9-to-5 jobs, or they just have slightly less demanding schedules, let's say. And then you get out of fellowship and you're kind of like, does anyone want me at all? I have all this training and it's just, there's a job market, and there's not that many positions for spine or whatever for orthopedics. And you also are geographically, you have preferences of where you want to be. So I think both of us wanted to be in California. Mm-hmm. My family's from Northern California and yours from Southern. And so we had our ideas of where we wanted to be. And on the personal side, we weren't totally locked down at that time. This was like, January through June of 2011. And so, so then we interviewed at different places, and you go to conferences and meet the people to lock in interviews and stuff like that. And then you go out and visit those places to interview. So all that's a huge process when you're living in New York and you have a fellowship or a job that you're supposed to be at every day. So I remember those days. It's a little tough. And then, so I ended up getting a job in Sacramento, and you kind of already had a job locked down in Los Angeles.
I got my job, I feel like, at the end of my 4th year of residency, which was very odd, or kind of the beginning of my 5th year of residency. Yeah. I got it early. Yeah. So we knew where I was going to be.
Yeah, and mine was more like March, April of 2011.
Yeah, so at the end of my 5th year. And me and you were not solid enough to have those conversations about...
Or mature enough.
Yeah. And that's another thing. People in medicine that are dating each other, it's so difficult because there's all these stages, college, then med school, then you match in residency, then you have to find a job. And you're almost forced to have these hard conversations with your partner that you're not really ready to make yet or to have yet.
Yeah, but we should have been ready. We were like 31.
Well, I'm glad that you see that now. Well, I was the one pushing for those conversations.
Yeah, you were.
So I definitely had to push those conversations. So you got this job in Sacramento. Yeah. I was slated to go to LA, and we were finishing up our last few months in New York, which was a lot of fun. I think it gave us a really nice time to just concentrate on us and have fun and kind of not worry about the serious stuff like getting married and our families and where we're going to live and all those like more important things. But when we did get back to California, when was your plan to propose to me?
I don't know. I was just kind of, as I told you, I just thought we'd see how it went, when you moved up to where I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, we spent a few months doing long distance Southwest flights up and down California coast every weekend.
Every weekend.
Something like that for a while. And then you came up, I came down and proposed in Santa Monica Beach.
Yeah, you proposed on the beach where we had our very first date when I was a freshman in college.
Yeah. Is that really cliche? I've never actually asked you that.
It's cute. I liked it.
All right, good.
And you were a sophomore. That first date that we went on, you didn't have a car to take me. No. So you borrowed your cousin's car. Yeah. You rode your bike to my dorm.
Yeah.
And then we took your cousin, my best friend's car. We went to Santa Monica Beach. We walked around. All the restaurants were closed by the time that we were there.
Yeah.
And then we came back and you rode your bike back to your apartment, which was really cute.
After we kissed.
Did we? Yeah, we did. Oh yeah.
First date kiss. Yeah.
First date, yes. Yep. And then our proposal was you taking me to that same beach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share this. You had never told me you love me.
I didn't?
No. Oh. You told me you love me on the beach right before you proposed to me.
And you're sharing that here?
Yes, I'm sharing it here.
Awesome.
You told me you loved me for the first time, and then you also proposed to me. I mean, I knew you loved me.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a hard sell, you know. I just had to get you to say yes for sure.
Okay, so you needed to make it really important and climactic. Okay. Yeah. So then you proposed, and then after you proposed, which, by the way, your plan was to propose maybe in a year or two after I move up to Sacramento. Yeah. And I was like, hey, buddy, that's not happening. I'm not leaving my very good job in LA if I don't have a ring on it. And so that's how that happened. And then we quickly got married in a Tahoe chapel wedding.
Yeah, that was awesome.
3 months later. Nobody really knew except our brothers and your best friend and our parents knew. But so then we got married. We got married in the Tahoe chapel wedding. We planned a really big Indian wedding for a year after that. But then I moved up. But my interview process was a little rocky where you were practicing. And I was having a hard time with just some of the people that, I was working with. And let's talk a little bit about those first 5 years as a surgeon after fellowship and residency. What was that like for you?
It's hard. I mean, I think that especially for me in spine, I think you are never totally sure. I mean, any surgery you do when you are on your own, right? You're not in fellowship, so you don't have someone overseeing what you're doing all the time, or taking responsibility for what you're doing, honestly, even if you're doing the whole case as a fellow. Somebody else's name is kind of on the chart. So when it's your name on the chart, that's tough. And it's, I think it's good if you can't sleep the night before, or you can't sleep the night after, because that just means that you care and you're taking responsibility for your patients and your actions. And so that is hard. I mean, I think I hear that a lot from younger surgeons, like, oh, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. It's good. You need to be worried about stuff because you don't have the 10 or 15 or more years under your belt to know what is normal or not normal in the post-op period, or even, intra-op period for surgery. So I think both of us had a lot of that, is like, you're stressed about cases before, you're stressed about cases afterwards, and you hope the patients do well, and you're not totally sure. And then also just getting your bearings as an independent practitioner in a group of people, that you want to kind of show that you know how to do things, but you also can ask for help. So it's a lot of learning going on there. My road was a lot less rocky than yours. Mm-hmm. So I had good partners, and I had people who were very supportive and taught me a lot in the OR. And maybe I taught them one or two things, and it was very collegial and collaborative, I'd say. I
guess I can't speak generally, but I think that's usually the experience of men in surgery. I think that you kind of are taken under someone's wing, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna help you out. There's like this bro-ness behind it, like we're all in this together. I didn't have that at all. I didn't have one person that was looking out for me except you.
Yeah.
Nobody was looking out for me that was in the general ortho group, and I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about cases or feel like I could call up without judgment on how I was performing that case.
Or get help on call.
I never got any help on call. Yeah.
No, I mean, I saw it and we recognized it just wasn't. It was a different department, and unfortunate. And I think, looking back, we kind of thought, oh, we'll get past this, or like this will blow over, or you were, I think you're really good. And so like, that's the other thing, is that you were able to kind of grin and bear it, and you were able to take care of your patients and do the cases on call, or pregnant and on call, or whatever the situation that came up. But you were able to kind of like be more independent than I was, which was awesome, but definitely isolating probably. And I think that's at some point it came to a head.
Yeah, it did come to a head. But before it came to a head, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed being at the same place as you.
That was cool.
It was so fun. We got to I think it probably annoyed people because we loved driving into work, driving home, and like eating lunch. And gosh, I even remember like I'd get out of a case and before I could look at my own x-rays, like I'd call you up and you'd be like, I don't know about those x-rays. And I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, stop looking at my work. Because who else goes to work with someone that knows exactly what you're doing? Because your x-rays can't lie. You can see everything on an x-ray.
Yeah.
So I remember feeling a little frustrated, but also I look back at it with such fondness because we got such a moment that so many people don't get.
Yeah, but obviously I had no idea what I was talking about. It's not like I'd look at your knee replacement x-rays. It's not like I could do the knee replacement. So it was, it was just for fun.
No, I know. You were giving me a hard time.
We could have lunch together and hang out, and we were only, 25 offices down or whatever. So it was very cool. We could just stop by between patients.
Yeah. So, do you think in that first 5 years, it was helpful that we were both in the same field? Do you think it was neutral?
Oh yeah, no. Absolutely helpful. You can't, that's what I'm saying. If you are stressed out all the time, the day before or day after surgery, like it's super helpful to have someone talk about it with you. I'm stressed about this because he has, this patient has this tough problem, and you actually understand what I was talking about. I think that's hard even for two doctor couples who aren't even anywhere related in the same field. It's going to be very hard to talk about spine surgery with somebody, who's not in orthopedics at all, or neurosurgery or something. So it's that was very helpful.
Yeah, I found it helpful too, and especially like you were working so hard. The amount of hours you were working. You often came home like midnight or later, and when you were on call, there'd be hours upon hours I wouldn't see you. For me, my stuff wasn't quite as stressful, but I was having more of that stress that I wasn't really jiving with my colleagues, or they weren't jiving with me. So I was dealing with that, whereas for you, your surgeries were really, really intense. And I remember that how stressed we both were, but supportive to each other. And we had many sleepless nights thinking about our surgeries, and many agitations because our brain is somewhere else thinking about the thing at work or a patient or anything like that. So we then had kids.
Yeah, that was sleepless nights when we had kids. So I remember, part of the thing I remember is our first kid, Guggen, was not a good sleeper. He was a bad sleeper, and we would both go to work, with very little sleep, if any, and you still had the stress of kind of like the cases and all that, and whether they're going to do well or not, and all that stuff I mentioned. Now you're doing it without sleep, and then you'd go home and still not get sleep the next night. So he was very tough, and I think that was hard. I think that manifested for me even at work. Like I was just bleary-eyed a lot that first year.
Yeah, I felt like there were moments after I'd finish a case or clinic, and I just wanted to start crying because I was so exhausted, just so exhausted. And remember, we did orthopedic surgery residencies. We were used to being up hours upon hours. You did it before the work weeks, the 80-hour work week. I did it right when it was starting. And we had, we were used to getting to the hospital at 4 or 5 in the morning and not coming home till the next night. And this was different.
Kudos to all our friends who had kids during residency.
Oh yeah,
because that's we waited till afterwards, and so,
I don't know how people were married with children, taking care of things. We only had to take care of ourselves. I don't know how they did it. I agree with you. So in a lot of ways, we had it way better. Your parents also live near us, so we had that support. We had a nanny as well, so we had help and we had a village, and it was still so tough. I don't know when the right time is to have kids, especially for a surgeon, because when you're training for multiple hours or in residency, that's a hard time. But also your first 5 years as a surgeon out of residency is really, really tough. So we had a kid, Guggen, and then 15 months later, we had our second child, Arjun. Yeah. So we had an 18-month-old and a 3-month-old, and things really came to a head at work for me. Yeah. I will do a whole separate episode on this, but basically I was pushed out of work, and my husband was so incredibly supportive. Just so supportive throughout that time. We couldn't have gotten through it without each other. And so we ended up transferring. My husband stayed in the same organization. We transferred to San Jose, and we got to San Jose with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. And tell me how that was for you.
I mean, that was tough. It was not a great circumstance under which we left. And so, I had a lot of resentment, I think, towards the whole situation, towards leaving,
Towards me?
Not towards you, towards how people treated you.
I mean, it's okay. You can have some towards me.
Not towards you, but no, because I'm the one that initiated the move
correct.
out of town. I mean, that out of Sacramento, so I went to my group and to my hospital and basically said, this isn't going to work out if that's the way you're going to treat my wife, essentially. And so I ended up transferring, 200 miles away. And so that I ended up, being in an even like a better situation at work. So just
But you didn't know that at the beginning.
Didn't know that at the beginning. Yeah. So that took a couple of years to figure out. But I had a great group in the place I was in Sacramento. And I'm honestly even happier now. And so that just was luck. It could have gone the other way, I guess, but very happy with that situation. And then, but there was a lot in that first year we moved here. We ended up like renting a house and buying a house. We had kids that still weren't good sleepers. We had, had to build your practice from literally nothing. And I came up with a name, by the way.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. We rented your first office off of Craigslist from a chiropractor, and we went on a Sunday and signed a lease for a Monday.
With our kids. We took our kids.
And then you saw a patient that Monday, like that day, the first day, which was just crazy. And so we didn't know anything about what we were doing. We didn't know anything about private practice. We knew about, a large managed care organization like we were in. We didn't really know anything about private practice, like kind of nothing.
No, we're lucky. Your father is a doctor. You come from a lot of physicians. My parents are not physicians, but a lot of my cousins are physicians. So we never understood how to start a private practice because I don't think, at least on my side, no one started one. And if anyone did on your side, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, and we didn't talk to them about the minor details of everyday life. That's tough.
Yeah, so we got to San Jose, and I'm still, as I've talked about before on my socials, like I threw a wide net and was doing all kinds of odd jobs around the Bay Area. So I was driving. There were days where I was leaving at 4 or 5 in the morning and I would not get home till after the kids were asleep.
Yeah.
What was that time period for you? Because we had 2 kids.
I know.
And we did have some help.
Yeah,
we had a nanny.
We had a great nanny. And that was a lot. I mean, they were young, so thankfully they weren't in like sports and stuff, at that time.
Well, now you can say that because we know what the difficulties are now with our children.
Right. You never know how busy
at the time
you're going to be in the future. But we thought we were busy, and then it was hard. I mean, I would make dinner or play with the kids or whatever after work, and sometimes I was on call, so it was a lot. But I wouldn't trade it. You were bearing the brunt of that because you're still the mom and you still have all the mom responsibilities, even if you're quote unquote traveling or doing, doing cases at a different hospital, like, 150 miles away or whatever. And all the headaches of the logistics of nannies and mom stuff that I wasn't doing.
You're not giving yourself enough credit. Jaspaul, like one thing I will say about you always is he is literally the best father. He doesn't sit down for a second when he comes home. He is with his kids all the time and not just passively, very actively. And so this was a hard time because I was missing in action because I was trying to quote unquote save my career.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what the next step was together. And I said to him, and I was very upset and hormonal. I was still probably breastfeeding at this point or just postpartum at least.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to start a private practice because I know nothing about it. I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take this on. I just want to see patients. And you said that you would help me start it.
Yeah.
And basically, you said you would. Yeah, you would do all the business stuff. So tell me about that.
Well, that wasn't a smart idea. I didn't know anything. So that was a bad idea on your part. But no, we figured it out. We just So you basically said, I don't think I'm the one that said that. I think you said, I will do the medicine stuff. I'm not doing anything else. And
Yeah.
I just said, okay, I guess I'll do the rest. And so, there's a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot about whatever, billing, staffing,
There's no handbook online of how to start a practice.
It really wasn't a good one. I bought a couple books on starting a medical practice. They weren't great. And I'm sure everything's different depending on your geography, and the payer mix and the insurance companies and all of that in whatever state you're in. I think we kind of got it off the ground, and then you ended up meeting somebody who was, essentially trying to retire. And so that helped us a lot, in terms of giving us structure, I think.
Yeah, because those first early days where we rented from the chiropractor, we got a Google phone number to which you were holding on to.
Yeah.
So you would be between spine cases and you'd be helping schedule patients.
Yeah.
And I'd be yelling at you like, I have to go pick up the kids from daycare at the time. What were you thinking?
So I don't know if you remember this. The best story that I can remember is that you had been referred a patient who only spoke Spanish.
Yes.
And I speak Spanish and you don't so much.
I don't at all.
And so I was between cases at my job, trying to call this lady, older lady in Spanish, trying to schedule her. And I'm like, well, you can come Tuesday at 2 p.m. And she's like, well, 2 p.m. really doesn't work for me. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be really tough because I didn't know your schedule and she didn't know her schedule. It was a mess. And at that point, I started hiring people.
Yeah. So then we started hiring some virtual assistants, which are very helpful.
Yeah.
Actually, when you're starting off a practice.
And they still work for us.
And some of them still work for us. Yeah. Exactly. But that was the end of Jaspaul being my receptionist / MA.
Medical assistant.
Yeah, exactly.
That was pretty funny.
That was the end of that. So then I think we settled into things. I think things were good.
Yeah. We bought a house and landed in a good place. I mean, I think socially and all this stuff for our kids was good. And our parents still came to visit and, it's important.
Absolutely. Okay, so then we decided to have a third child. So
years down the road.
A few years down the road.
Actually, we decided to have a third child, and then it took us a couple of years.
Took us a while. So our first two kids came pretty naturally, and then third child things weren't working on my end because I was older. And then we decided to go the IVF route.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was easy for me. Well, you are susceptible to the hormones. Mm-hmm. And so when you were injecting yourself with hormones, I think I tried to call it quits 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm like,
not at good times, by the way. It was like right in like the middle of the cycle or when we were supposed to get some ultrasound of how many follicles I had.
Which was also peak
hormones.
Peak craziness factor. At the time of peak hormones. And I was like, this is not worth it. We've got 2 beautiful, healthy kids. This is not a good idea because it was killing you. Yeah. Basically. But
which was killing us.
So I think personally I was fine with IVF, although I had some moral reservations about it, but I moved past that. And then I think emotionally for us, our relationship, it was super difficult. And then once the positive result came, once we had a pregnancy going, then it was a little bit more smooth sailing. Yeah.
So we had our baby girl. We did not do any sort of we didn't like pick that or anything. It just happened to be
2 female embryos.
Yes, I remember because you called me in the OR, and you never call me in the OR. And I was scared that something happened to Guggen or Arjun, and so I had them wire me in. And I said, what's going on? What's wrong? And you were like, I have good news and bad news.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And you told me the bad news is we only have 2. And I said, okay, and what's the good news? And you said they're both genetically normal girls.
Yep.
And I remember that. And I was like, oh my God, you gave me a heart attack because I thought it was something with our boys because we don't call each other in the OR. That's like, I don't know. I feel like it's sacred time. You're taking care of your patient. Like, I guess if there was a real emergency, Often you've had like some circulators text me if you can't pick up somebody, like the kid, but nothing else. And so you would never call me, but that's what you told me in the OR. I remember it very, very clearly. And we put one in. I think you wanted to put two in.
Yeah.
But we put one in.
Your friend Natalie says it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I think most IVF doctors would say that.
Yeah, I don't trust her.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, anyways, so we had our third, and that was a lot of work as well because we went backwards.
Yeah.
We were out of diapers.
We were out of everything, and we were starting it all over again. But now our kids are older. We have a Guggen's 11, Arjun's 10, and Sunam is 5 going on 6. I want to talk a little bit about how we keep our relationship going in a healthy way. Okay. So let's talk about therapy.
Therapy?
Yeah, let's talk about therapy. Right. Okay. So we started therapy back in, I want to say 2014 when we had Guggen, because we weren't sleeping and we were just having difficulties managing being surgeons, some family stuff, and also just having a baby that didn't sleep. And just even, I don't think me and you had ever talked about like parenting and like what our values were in terms of our kids. I mean, we knew where we came from and what our own values were, but we didn't really talk about like, how do we want to raise this child together? So tell us how you felt about starting therapy.
Oh, I was probably a little resistant to therapy at the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, very resistant.
Okay, when did you? So we started in 2014. So we've been doing it pretty consistently for 9 years.
Yeah.
So tell me when you like got on board with it.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
No. It took me a while, probably. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think probably in the last 2-3 years, I've kind of gotten really on board, as opposed to maybe feeling like you're just going through the motions. But I've learned a lot. I mean, I think, I grew up maybe with a lot less attention on emotions than you did. And your awareness of emotions is and was higher. But I'm also maybe a little more even keeled with emotions. So it's all a trade-off, I think. But now, yeah, I mean, I think the idea is, I think it's good. Honestly, I think therapy has helped me as much with our relationship as it has with any relationship I've had in daily life, right? And you're somebody you have a passing, interaction with at the coffee shop or at
work.
Whole Foods or whatever. Versus, a more long-lasting thing at work where it's somebody you see every single day or somebody you rely upon or they rely upon you, and then family and, siblings and in-laws, just all those relationships in addition to just your partner. So I think, a basic level of emotional intelligence and that kind of stuff is people grow that awareness at different paces throughout their lives. And I thought I had, a fairly decent understanding of that. Or, I mean, I had good interpersonal relationships. So
Absolutely,
I thought that was...
You're very close with your family. You have lots of friends, lots of really dear friends in your life.
So I thought, I'm doing pretty well. I got friends and I know what I'm doing. And I think that, when you have I think a lot of that was because I didn't have large challenges, in my middle adult life or, young adult life. And that's when the interpersonal relationships get kind of tested or stressed a little bit, is when you have some life stress or challenges. And so I've learned a lot in therapy.
Do you think you struggled a little with it because we're South Asian and it's a little, I don't know, more taboo? Or, I mean, for me, I will say sometimes with therapy, because I think therapy is so important, but I almost feel like, why can't I figure this out myself? Like, that's a thing for me. It
can't be this hard,
It can't, I mean, we've done a lot in our lives, right? So, like, how come I cannot figure out this thing?
Yeah.
So what was your hang-ups?
I don't know if it's South Asian specifically, but I think I think if you talk about something like mental illness in the South Asian community, or probably a lot of Eastern, cultures, it's not something that's addressed. It's not something that's talked about. It's taboo to talk about it at all. I would say kind of emotional intelligence might fit somewhere on that, sliding scale somewhere, like in the sense that just be tough, just, you can handle it. Anything that comes your way, don't think about it too much, just do the work. I think that's kind of how I approached life. I think growing up, it's like, you can handle it. Don't let it get you down. And that is, I still think, that's a good way to go. I think I've still tried to instill that in my kids, is like, this is just a challenge. You can handle it. But I think it is worthwhile to let it sink in that, hey, it is a challenge. It's stressful. It's, it's going to be, it's going to take a toll on you one way or another, right? This stress will have a reaction for you, when it's really how you deal with that second reaction, as opposed to, for example, if you get angry, you can either bottle it up or you can express it, talk about it with somebody or deal with the problem. And so I think that's, it's definitely worth, learning. I hope I can impart that to our kids, but it's something that I've dealt with or, tried to learn in the last few years.
I mean, I think it's been so great for us. I think it's, you and I have known each other for so long, since we were 18 years old, and now we're 45 and 46. So we grew up together. Yes, you're 46.
I am?
Yes, I'm 45.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
46. Yeah. So we've grown up together. I mean, when
I'm 45.
No, you are not. It's 2025. You'll turn 47.
No.
Oh.
I'll turn 46.
Oh, you'll turn
Thanks
46.
for aging. We're the same age.
All right, we're the same age. All right, we're both 45.
You better cut that out.
Okay, we'll cut it out.
You don't want to look like you don't know my age.
Yeah, okay, so I'm 45 and you're 46. No, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again.
Oh my gosh. You really want me to be 46?
No.
Is this your first time doing this?
Okay, we're both 45. You are turning 46 this December. So we've
Yes.
known each other for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So that has a lot of beauty to it, because we grew up together. We know each other like so well. And it also comes with some struggle, because especially when we first got married, we fought like kids, like 18-year-old kids. And when we had kids, we kind of did the same thing. And that's why we realized we needed therapy. And I think it's really helped us a lot. And I think, the other thing that I have been working on is I tell my children, Mom and Dad have we call it a meeting on Monday evenings, and we say, and they've asked us, because they're older enough now, like, oh, what is this meeting about? Well, we have this person that we talk to about our marriage. We talk about work. We talk about how to raise you guys, and we just talk about our family dynamics. And I think I like that we're open with our kids about that, because I think there should be no shame in this. And also, what is wrong with getting some help in trying to help you sort through these things? I think it's really important for our kids to feel their emotions and also be resilient and step up to the challenge. I think that is a problem in this generation, is that we talk a lot about mental health, which is great, but we also have to understand that life is hard. It is not easy. And sometimes you can't just walk away from that. Like, you have to actually challenge yourself and be up for the challenge.
Yeah.
And so I think that is an important thing for our kids to learn. I do have to touch on one other thing, because we've covered a lot of things, but you're a spine surgeon, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and our kids are heavily into sports, and you're like so active with them. I mean, you've assistant coached their soccer teams and baseball teams and all that, and you're out there playing with them. How do you feel as a spine surgeon, and me being an orthopedic surgeon, just knowing all the injuries kids can get? How do you feel about that? How does that play a role in any of this as your kids continue on with all these sports?
I have not thought too much about the injuries. I mean, we see kids who get injured, in our practices, but our kids aren't playing tackle football.
Would you let your kids play tackle football?
I wouldn't. It wouldn't be my first preference.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that, you could get a concussion, playing soccer or something like that. But I don't worry about that. I mean, the beauty of kids is they're resilient. If they break,
kids heal well.
Knock on wood, if they break a bone, they're going to heal it. And so I don't worry too much about that. I mean, I guess, I worry about like doing flips on a trampoline or something, like breaking their neck. I'd prefer they not necessarily do that unless maybe they're the only kid jumping on the trampoline at that time or stuff like that.
So trampolines, football, what else is not your favorite?
I think trampolines are great. I think just doing flips on a trampoline when there's other kids bouncing, because you could bounce at the wrong time. No, I think I'm game for almost anything.
Yeah.
And they did their first triathlons this week, or kind of first sprint distance triathlons this weekend, as did you. So I commend you for that. And then no, I think they can play any sports, but I don't worry about that too much.
Okay, now I've had you kind of in the hot seat. So is there anything you want to ask me before we close this out? Yeah.
Oh, we're closing?
Yeah, we're closing soon.
Well, what is it that you most enjoy about interviewing other people?
Oh, that's a great question. I love talking to people, as you know. Like, I love getting really into it. I don't like those superficial chit-chatty conversations.
Yeah, you're the person who goes to the coffee shop and then learns everything about the person who took your money.
Yeah.
And you know everything about their divorce and their stepchildren and everything about them.
Yeah, that's me. So I think this is a good opportunity to like get a little bit into it with people and like learn a little bit more about them, because I think that's what people want to hear about. Like, yeah, we can talk about concussion injuries and all these things, but I think people want to know each other's story. And so I think that's really exciting, and a passion of mine is to get into people's stories and then for other people to learn from them. Like, I love learning from other people's stories. It's huge for me and it helps me so much. And just sharing the stories of my own stuff too. I really enjoy doing that. So I like interviewing people for that reason. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to ask me?
No, that was it.
Okay. Let's finish it off with talking a little bit about what you would like to see in our relationship over the next 5 years.
Our relationship?
Ours, mine and yours. What do you want to see more of?
This is getting deep.
Yeah.
What do I want to see more of? I think the byproduct of our relationship is obviously our kids, and I love seeing our kids flourish. I want them to be happy and independent and resilient, like you said. And I think that would speak a lot for us. And then sometimes I worry if they're not all those things, and that speaks a lot against us, And so I take a lot of, I'm pretty interested in how that is going to go and invested. So I think that whatever you and I can do to make them those three things is paramount. That's what I want. But as far as you and me, I think we take some trips together. We spend time together without the kids, and they know, why we're doing that. And I like watching you do what you do.
I think we're in a season of life right now where we're really very busy with our children, because now they're playing all these higher level sports. And so we're at the soccer field or the baseball field all weekend long. And in the evenings, we're both like almost ships passing because we're Ubering kids around everywhere. And it really is special to me when we get time to ourselves, which we don't do actually very often because of the busy season of life we're in. But I really want us to focus on trying to do that a little bit more often so that we can just have time to connect with me and you, and, because it gets hard sometimes with all that.
We can just do more podcasts. This is like the longest we've ever talked to each other ever.
Yeah.
in the last 5 years.
With
10
that,
years.
thank you for being on the podcast. And that was really fun. We'll do it again.
Awesome. Love you.
I love you too. Thank you for tuning in to The Resilience Factor. If you're ready to build a stronger, longer lasting body, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with someone who's ready to thrive. You can follow me at Dr. Pamela Mehta for more expert tips on strength, recovery, and orthopedic health. Until next time, stay strong, stay smart, and stay resilient.